There is a moment in almost every relationship, romantic or even close emotional bonds, where something quietly changes. Not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly. They still reply, but not like before. They are still around, but not really present. They still say the right words, but something in their tone feels different. And the strange part is this: most people don't notice it while it's happening. They only realize it later, when the distance has already become permanent. Because emotional detachment doesn't start with leaving. It starts with disconnecting while still staying. And in today's video, we're breaking down the hidden signs you usually miss when someone is emotionally detaching from you, so you can understand what's really happening beneath the surface of their behavior. 1. They become emotionally neutral in conversations. One of the earliest signs is not anger, not conflict, but emotional neutrality. They stop reacting strongly to things that used to matter. You share good news. That's nice. You express pain. Sorry about that. You try to connect deeper, and they stay surface level. It feels like you are talking to someone who is physically present but emotionally unavailable. This is because detachment often begins when emotional investment starts fading. The brain naturally reduces emotional response before fully disconnecting. What used to trigger excitement, concern, or curiosity slowly becomes neutral information to them. And neutrality is often more dangerous than negativity because it doesn't create alarm. It just quietly replaces connection. 2. Conversations start feeling like obligations, not interest. At some point, talking to you stops feeling like something they want to do. It becomes something they have to respond to. You might notice replies become shorter, delays become longer, questions from their side disappear. You are the one always sustaining the conversation. This shift is subtle but powerful, because when someone is emotionally invested, conversation is naturally flowing. Even in silence, there is effort. But when detachment starts, communication becomes task-based. They reply to clear the message, not to build connection. And slowly you start feeling like you are pulling them into conversations they are no longer emotionally part of. 3. They stop sharing their inner world with you. This is one of the strongest indicators. When someone is emotionally connected, they don't just talk to you, they let you in. They share thoughts, frustrations, random ideas, small daily moments. But when detachment begins, that inner world starts closing. You notice, you hear less about their day. You are no longer the first person they share news with. Their problems are handled alone. Their emotions are processed elsewhere. It's not always intentional. It's often emotional withdrawal happening gradually, like someone slowly closing a door without announcing it. And the scariest part is this: they can still laugh with you, still text you, still be physically present, while emotionally building a life you are no longer included in. 4. Physical presence remains, but emotional intimacy disappears. This is where many people get confused. They are still there, still responding, still acting normal, but something essential is missing. Emotional closeness. The warmth reduces, the softness disappears, the small gestures fade. Even sitting together feels different, like there is invisible distance between you. This happens because emotional detachment separates presence from connection. A person can remain in your life while no longer feeling emotionally bonded to it. And this creates the most confusing phase, where nothing looks wrong, but nothing feels right either. 5. They become harder to read emotionally. Earlier, you could tell how they felt. Now you can't. They stop expressing frustration clearly. They stop showing excitement openly. They stop reacting in predictable emotional ways. Everything becomes controlled, minimal, and filtered. This emotional unreadability is not random. It often happens when someone starts protecting their emotional energy by reducing how much they express. The more detached they become, the less emotional information they give you. And this creates distance even in silence, because emotional intimacy depends on emotional transparency. 6, they start investing energy elsewhere. One of the clearest but often ignored signs is redistribution of attention. It doesn't always mean another person. It can be new friendships, work overload, constant phone distraction, new hobbies. They don't include you in. The key detail is not what they are doing, it's that their emotional energy is no longer directed toward you. You feel it in small ways. They are excited elsewhere, but calm with you. They are engaged elsewhere, but distracted with you. They have time elsewhere, but are busy with you. Emotion doesn't disappear, it relocates. 7. You feel like you are remembering the past version of them. This is usually where the emotional confusion peaks. You keep thinking, they used to be different. This is not how they normally are. Something has changed, but I don't know what. And you're right, because you are still emotionally attached to who they used to be, while they are already shifting into someone emotionally disconnected. This mismatch creates emotional tension. You are holding onto memory. They are living in emotional distance, and that gap creates the feeling of losing someone without them leaving. 8. They avoid emotional depth in serious conversations. When you try to talk about feelings, something shifts, they deflect, they minimize, they change the topic, or they respond logically instead of emotionally. This is a protective mechanism, because emotional conversations require presence, vulnerability, and investment, all of which decrease during detachment. So instead of engaging deeply, they keep things light or distant, not because they hate you, but because emotional closeness no longer feels natural to them. 9. You start feeling anxious around their consistency. This is often the emotional result on your side. You begin overthinking, why are they acting different today? Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? And you start monitoring their behavior more than enjoying the connection. That anxiety is not random, it is your emotional system detecting inconsistency. Because when emotional connection is stable, you don't have to constantly interpret behavior. But when detachment begins, everything becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability creates anxiety. Emotional detachment rarely happens in one moment. It is a slow emotional withdrawal, small shifts that don't look serious on their own, but together create distance that feels impossible to ignore later. And the hardest part is this: people rarely announce it. They don't always realize it themselves at first, it simply unfolds. But understanding these signs doesn't mean you panic or assume the worst immediately. It means you become aware of emotional changes that most people ignore until it's too late, because awareness gives you clarity, and clarity protects your emotional energy. If this video resonated with your experience or made you reflect on someone in your life, drop a comment and share what sign stood out the most to you. Have you ever felt someone slowly change emotionally without saying anything? And if you want more content that breaks down hidden relationship patterns and human behavior in a simple, real way, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because there's a lot more psychology behind what people don't say than what they do. Not every distance is loud. Not every loss is announced. Sometimes it begins in silence, long before it becomes visible. And the more you understand those silent shifts, the better you understand not just Othon, but yourself in relationships too. See you in the next